Love, as we call it, is not a thing in the sense we perceive it to be. It is not merely an emotion, a chemical reaction, or a sentimental construct. Love is the sensation of energy returning to itself, being drawn into its unified state. If we, as conscious beings, are fractals of the one eternal isness, then love is the force that pulls us back toward wholeness, reminding us of our intrinsic unity. Everything in existence is energy in motion, emotion. Physics tells us that energy is neither created nor destroyed, it only changes form. This fundamental principle applies not only to the material world but also to the domain of human experience. Love is not separate from the laws of physics, rather it is an expression of them at the deepest level. When we feel love, we are experiencing an intense flow of energy, aligning itself with a greater whole. This is why love has the power to heal, to connect, and to transcend. It is the force that brings scattered vibrations back into coherence, restoring balance within and around us. Love is not just an abstract idea, it is the experience of energy finding its way home. The heart, the seat of the soul. There is a reason why love is felt most profoundly in the heart. If the heart is the seat of the soul, it serves as the primary conduit for this return to unity. Scientific studies have shown that the heart emits the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, influencing not only our own energetic state, but also the fields of those around us. This is why deep love, compassion, and connection are so palpable. They create an energetic resonance that draws all involved into harmony. When we say, "I love you," what we are truly expressing is an acknowledgement of this return to unity. It is a conscious intention that amplifies the movement of energy into a state of coherence. Love is not something we do, it is something we allow to flow through us when we align with our true nature. Love and physics, the ultimate unity. Modern physics is beginning to recognize what ancient wisdom has always known. Reality is interconnected, and everything operates within a unified field. Just as gravity draws masses together, love is the energetic force that reunites consciousness with itself. It is the ultimate law of attraction, the highest frequency of existence, and the most direct path to oneness. This is why love feels so powerful, why it transcends space and time, why it breaks down barriers, and why it is the foundation of all spiritual traditions. It is not just an emotion, it is the fundamental nature of reality expressing itself through us. When we love, we are witnessing the universe bringing itself into harmony, one conscious interaction at a time. To understand love as the sensation of energy returning to itself is to recognize that it is not separate from the structure of the cosmos. It is the structure of the cosmos. Love is not mystical in the sense of being unknowable. It is mystical in the sense that it is the deepest truth hiding in plain sight. It is the underlying principle of existence, the binding force of awareness and energy, and the experience of unity in its purest form. And in the end, it's all just physics. And self-realization is not just about understanding who you are, but about recognizing that there is no fundamental difference between you and others. The journey of self-realization is often described as an inward path, an exploration of one's own true nature beyond ego and illusion. However, a lesser acknowledged but equally crucial aspect of self-realization is the recognition of the same self in others. This realization is not merely philosophical but fundamental. All beings are expressions of the same awareness, appearing as fractalized perspectives of a singular source. This understanding forms the basis of what we consider higher and lower states of consciousness, where the distinction lies in the depth of awareness one has, not only of themselves but of others as well. Defining higher and lower states of consciousness. Lower states of consciousness are not bad in a moral sense, but they represent a more fragmented, egocentric view of reality. In these states, an individual experiences an increased sense of separateness, self-preservation, and reactive emotional patterns. This is not necessarily due to malice, but rather a limitation of perspective, a reduced ability to perceive the interconnectedness of all beings. Such a state is often associated with fear, competition, and suffering because it lacks the understanding that one's actions toward another are, ultimately, actions toward oneself. Higher states of consciousness, on the other hand, expand awareness beyond the confines of individual identity. The more one awakens, the more they perceive the sameness of all beings, not just in a superficial way, but as a deep fundamental truth. This expansion is accompanied by heightened compassion, empathy, and wisdom. It does not mean losing one's uniqueness, but rather recognizing that uniqueness as a temporary expression of something infinitely greater. In this state, one sees beyond physical differences, beyond even psychological or ideological differences, into the shared essence of being. The fractal nature of the self. A powerful way to conceptualize this interconnectedness is through the idea of fractals. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that self-replicate at every scale. Similarly, every individual consciousness is a fractalized expression of the universal consciousness, unique in form yet fundamentally the same in essence. Each fragment, individual, contains the whole within itself, just as every smaller segment of a fractal contains the pattern of the greater whole. This perspective shifts the traditional understanding of self-realization. It is not just an internal journey, but also an external one, seeing others as reflections of the same self. The difference between individuals is not in the essence of their being, but in the degree to which they recognize it. Those in lower consciousness may still see others as separate, whereas those in higher states of awareness understand that all interactions are ultimately between the self and itself. Compassion as a natural outcome of higher awareness. One of the most significant implications of this realization is that true enlightenment naturally gives rise to compassion. When one understands that harming another is, in reality, harming oneself, the motivation for cruelty, exploitation, or even indifference dissolves. Compassion ceases to be a moral obligation and becomes an inevitable response, a natural function of seeing reality as it is. This is why enlightened beings throughout history, from Buddha to Christ, have emphasized love and compassion as the highest virtues. Their teachings are not rooted in religious dogma, but in direct experiential knowledge of reality's interconnected nature. Love, in this sense, is not just an emotion but an awareness of the unity underlying all things. The path of awakening. The transition from lower to higher consciousness is not about external achievements or intellectual knowledge, but about awareness itself. It is an unveiling, a deepening of perception. As one progresses, the illusion of separateness weakens and a profound sense of unity emerges. This process is often non-linear. Moments of clarity can be followed by moments of confusion. However, each insight contributes to the overall expansion of consciousness. Practices such as meditation, self-inquiry, and mindfulness accelerate this transition by dissolving the mental constructs that reinforce separation. However, the most potent catalyst for awakening is love. Not in the romantic sense, but as the fundamental frequency of existence. The more one operates from love, the closer they align with the truth of being. In the end, self-realization is not just about understanding who you are, but about recognizing that there is no fundamental difference between you and others. All beings are fractalized expressions of the same awareness, temporarily inhabiting different perspectives. The so-called higher and lower states of consciousness are reflections of how deeply one perceives this reality. To live from this awareness is to live in harmony with the entire cosmos, moving beyond illusion and into the infinite, sacred dance of existence. The mystery of reality is not in discovering something external, but in realizing that, at every level, you are meeting yourself, in every face, every interaction, and every experience. And the deeper this realization sinks in, the more love becomes not just a feeling, but the very fabric of existence itself.